Good evening, everyone. We are back. Dale, we're about to start another retrospective, another big animation retrospective. So
Yeah,
this is one that we've had in the pipeline for quite a while, actually. I mean, we did our Disney 100 Years of Wonder retrospective, which was an incredibly long retrospective in hindsight. It was, 64 videos? I think we started it in the October of 2023 and finished it. Was it the beginning of 2025? I think about the February of 2025.
yeah,
It was a
yeah.
massive undertaking. And right around the time that we were doing that, we were talking about what other kind of animation retrospectives we wanted to do. And really, the logical thing would have been just to go straight onto Pixar because it's a nice companion piece to Disney. But I think we were both massively burnt out when we finished that Disney one. It was a big undertaking to get all of those done. And we wanted a couple of shorter retrospectives in there. So we moved on to Don Bluth. And then when we were looking at other companies that we wanted to do, Studio Ghibli and Pixar and everything, we actually saw that 2026, so today actually, right down to the very date, is the 40th anniversary of Pixar. And then we saw that Studio Ghibli was going to be the 40th anniversary of that company. So it actually just kind of worked out perfectly. So yeah, today marks the 40th anniversary of Pixar Animation Studios. So we're kickstarting it off with the original Toy Story from 1995. This is going to be so great. There is going to be a drop off. We were aware of that, similar to Disney, similar to even Studio Ghibli in some retrospectives. It's very, very much front loaded. Like the first 10 or so movies are like the best that Pixar's ever had to offer. And it will die away, but it's going to be interesting because I actually haven't seen all of the Pixar films, especially the more recent ones. There's a few that I haven't seen. Well, we're going to have to now. We've signed up for this. So I think this retrospective is probably all going to be said and done by September, I think. So we're in it for the long haul. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be really fun to talk about. Dale, I'm going to start with you. Toy Story. I'm sure because we're around about the same age, I'm a little bit older than you. 1995, we would have been very, very young or potentially not even born at that point. I'm not sure. Were you 96 born?
No.
Wait, when are you? Oh, you 94. Okay. Oh, okay. You're not far behind me then.
I'm not that young.
This is probably, if we were going to list our top 3 films or top 3 most important films of our growing up, of our childhood, this has got to be in that top 3, right? It has to be.
Yeah, it was my favorite movie since I can remember, all the way through to through all my childhood, everything. It was amazing. It was always my favorite movie for a long time. I mean, to be fair, Toy Story itself, because Toy Story 2 was actually my favorite. If you want to talk like growing up, Toy Story 2 sat there for ages, but Toy Story in itself was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I found this out as well. I went hunting for it and I managed to find it. My old video. I always try and find the videos if I can because this more than anything, just seeing this.
Mine was the widescreen edition. I remember that.
Okay.
It was, and it really annoyed me as a kid because that said widescreen, but my video for 2 didn't say widescreen. I'm like, that's really annoying. It was really upsetting. I was like, what's widescreen? I don't get it. Why does it say widescreen? And then I remember it was explained like, yeah, but widescreen has that. And I'm like, yeah, but why? It just annoyed me.
You felt like you weren't getting a full picture. And then as you get older, you realize, no, actually you're getting more picture because it's the way that the film was
like,
made.
why is it cut off? We don't get the whole, and it confused me.
But I remember that this being a big deal. PG rated.
Oh yeah.
And when this was on my shelf next to all the Disney films, all of them are just like a sea of U's, and then you've got Toy Story here, which was a PG, so that was kind of a big deal as well. It almost felt like you were watching like this sort of like adult film in a way, which it wasn't, but there definitely is adult humor in there. There are jokes in this film that I absolutely didn't get at all, and then rewatching it again now, I was even like the other day when I rewatched this in preparation for the review, I was picking up on a few little adult jokes that they just got in there as well. So it is this wonderful mix. But yeah, Toy Story for me, hands down. This was on heavy rotation. I'm actually surprised that I didn't wear the VHS cassette out. It was on that many times. And I think what's so special about Toy Story as a film and what makes it so accessible to everyone is the fact that pretty much all of us grew up with toys, and I think that's why if you're watching it as an adult, you can connect with it because it takes you back to your childhood. And when you're watching it, at pretty much that same age or a little bit younger than Andy in the film, it was this really easy film to connect with,
And
which
now
by
no
the
one
time,
plays with toys.
well, that's going to play into Toy Story 5, isn't it, with the onslaught of technology and whatnot. I actually think that's a pretty cool premise to do for Toy Story, so I'm
It
interested to see
is,
what
but
they do with that.
the series ended. We don't need it.
It did. And, you
They
know,
should have done
Andy,
it with Toy Story 4. If they were going to continue, they should have gone, right, okay, let's do this. But they
yeah,
didn't. They made Toy Story 4 a really, like, it's pointless. It's like a really pointless sequel to happen that you're like, okay, why did we go? Why? It's just, yeah.
agreed. When we get to Toy Story 3, we've got a lot to talk about Toy Story 3, but that was the emotional send off with Andy going off to college. We were probably preparing for, you know, sixth form,
I think
university,
it was my
college,
last
whatever.
year of school that it came out, I
Yeah.
believe. I think.
So,
So definitely around then, because I went to cinema to see it, and it was such a fucking like it was me and a couple other people, and it was like we were like right at the end. It was fun.
and that's why I always have this kind of selfish ownership with the Toy Story films. I remember seeing Toy Story 3, and of course there were kids there going to see it that weren't even alive probably when Toy Story 2 came out, and I was like, this is my movie. This is like my age group's movie. Why are you here? So yeah, but Toy Story, it's impossible to communicate over, you know, just like a live stream like this or even verbally or anything, just the sheer impact that this film specifically, because this is my favorite of all of them. It will always, you know, the original Toy Story 2, the levels that they go to with that and how the technology develops into Toy Story 3, etc., is incredible. But for me, it's just this original one is my favorite Pixar film. It's my favorite one of the Toy Story films. And it was an absolute joy to go back and rewatch this in preparation for this. It's a film I've seen countless times, but I actually can't remember the last time that I sat down and watched it beginning to end. Is this a film that you watch quite regularly, or had it been quite a while for you before rewatching it?
I think I watched it last year before this, but it's really weird because Toy Story 2 is my favorite. I've done this a couple of times now. I watch Toy Story 2 because it's my favorite, and I just watch that. It's just a standalone. But then I'm like, oh, I should watch the third one because the third one's a good fight. And I watch 2, then 3, then I watch 1. That's what always ends up happening. It's really, really weird because I don't mean to watch them all. I always just go in with that, and then it ends up being in the wrong order. But yeah, it was about a year ago I think I watched it last before this. So it's not like not an everyday thing, but I think I don't know how many times I watched it in my life. I'd give it a good 15, 16 maybe.
I mean,
To be fair, as a kid, I probably watched it a lot more. So it's probably a lot more than that.
And I think another thing that helps us connect with this film so much is that, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I know I did. I was very lucky enough to have a Woody doll and a Buzz toy as well. So it's almost like your take.
Because you had all the weird ones where you press the button on Woody. Sometimes that was a thing. Sometimes it was a pull string. There was loads of different versions.
So my version of Woody didn't have the pull string. It was sort of like attached to his back.
I had one where you pressed the button on it, like it was like his little button on his shirt, and you press that. And then I did have one that was a pull string, so there's different ones you get. Same with Buzz Lightyear. For some reason, I had a silver one as well. I don't know why that.
Oh, I remember that. It was like a chrome one, wasn't it? I think.
But why?
Yeah.
Why was that a thing?
So my Buzz Lightyear toy, it had the 3 buttons on his chest where he said lines from the movie. He had the red button, which I remember the wings being clip-on, but maybe they did shoot out because it had the red button. Yeah. So maybe that is right. I'm trying to think back now. And of course, I got like a black marker, and I wrote Chris on the foot, just like Andy does in the movie. And it felt like you were taking a piece of the movie, like you had a piece of that film to keep with you. It brought you closer to the film. You had your own Woody and Buzz, and I'm sure after watching this film and your imaginations, you know, running wild as a kid, when you leave the room, there was always that element of, oh, I wonder if my toys are coming alive when I leave the room, and it's, you know, it's all sparked from this film.
Yeah, good times.
Good times. Those times have gone now. It's very sad, isn't it? But
when we believe that, and now it's not as magical.
It's films like this that take you back, though. This was incredible to go back to, and one thing that I was looking out for was really to see how the animation had aged. I mean, this is a film that's 30 years plus now, really, and the technology has come along huge, like immense amounts since this original film. But this original film still looks really, really good, which I was kind of bowled over by because, as I say, I haven't gone back and watched it in quite a while. I will say, like, the animation on the humans is perfectly fine and serviceable, especially for 1995. The fact that this film was so
It's the
iconic and
humans that have become
pioneering.
much better. In I
Yeah,
think they've been. Isn't there? If you look at it, all the kids when they arrive at Andy's birthday party, they're all the same. They're all exactly the same, and it's just the same models, which now obviously they'd be different. So that has, changed drastically. And I think the biggest thing is it's the lighting when you come
yes, yeah,
to like where he's like you see in his like on his chair and stuff, and when Woody flies on the like. I think things like that have really improved, or when Buzz loses his arm and you can see him on the floor. Like I think there's things like that and colors that have improved, like the dog as well. Sid's dog, fucking what's it called?
Scud.
Yeah, that's it. Um, has which I thought was a made up type of dog, but they exist, and I can't remember what it is.
Mm.
Like for years, I thought I never saw one.
Oh, it's like not a pincher. Is that what they're called or something?
No, but they do exist, and they look exactly the same. But I
Mhm.
never saw one when I was a kid, like ever. No one ever had one, so I thought that was just made up for the thing. But anyway, even like that, like as I say, it has increased a lot. Animation for that, but there is a lot of it, especially the darker shots, which look, they hold up very, very well. I think the main thing is the coloring and the lighting. That because if you compare this to like the Kingdom Hearts world, it's more. It is mainly the colors just look better and they blend better, whereas this looks more. Looks a bit, I wouldn't say stop motion, but looks a bit more like they're just real figures that are there rather than animation, I guess, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, I think that's the main difference that I see.
I do like the look of everything in this, though, and I feel like, especially with Toy Story 5, seeing that little teaser trailer, I feel like they can clean it up a bit too much, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
loses a little bit of the charm to it. Perhaps like the technology is improving, granted, and the textures and everything what they're capable of, but there is that element of charm with like this, I say, the simplicity to the animation. It wasn't simplistic when they made it. This was completely revolutionary. This was a pioneering thing, the first ever computer animated film. I mean, this film quite literally has paved the way for more or less every other animated film that we see today. Everything's computer animated now, and none of that would have been possible without the success of this film. And no one expected it, Pixar included, and Disney especially, were very, very cautious with this film and didn't expect it to be the massive hit that it was. And it was, and it grossed over 363 million worldwide when it came out. It was the second highest grossing film of 1995. So the gamble definitely paid off. And it was nominated for 3 Academy Awards as well. Best Original Screenplay. It was the first ever animated film to be nominated in that category. Had Best Original Score and Original Song from Randy Newman and You've Got a Friend in Me. So this film really did just capture everyone's imagination. And it was a really awesome time to be alive in sort of like the 90s and the early 2000s, because you had that difference in animation, right? You had Disney, which was the traditional hand-drawn stuff. You knew where you stood with Disney, and Pixar was the computer animated stuff, and you had this lovely feeling of variety, which unfortunately has sort of gone
Do you
away now.
reckon Randy Newman did the music the way he does and sings the way he does so that deaf people don't feel left out when they sing?
So, yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
So
He's got a very unique voice. He's an incredible songwriter.
no, no.
Yeah, there you go. And Family Guy do a great sketch on Randy Newman, don't they? How he always tends to write lyrics that are very literal. His surroundings, what he sees.
Yeah.
Let's get to a couple of comments here. So Brian was first up with a comment really early at 4:24 p.m. today, before we even went live. Says this movie came out before I was born. So I was 2.
Well, it's not weird, but what I find interesting about Brian's picture, I don't know what it is above, like a light. It looks like a hat. It looks like a cap. So in some ways, and at some angles, it looks like you're wearing a cap.
We've got JDC Man, who says the Toy Story VHS opening in my native USA has that one ad for Walt Disney World's 25th anniversary at the time, which stars a baby named Abby learning that her family can't go to until she can walk.
Oh,
Oh, I
that's
remember that.
speaking of that. This is in Toy Story 2, but the globe, right? When Buzz does his speech and he goes, "We're going to save Woody," blah blah blah. They have a globe spinning, but in American releases, it's the American flag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I remember that it was in because I remember seeing it, and I think it was a globe. And then in the game of Toy Story 2, I saw the American flag, and I was like, "Swear that's different. Swear it is." But yeah, that was a thing. Worldwide release, it was a globe, and then America, it was just an American flag.
I never knew that. Yeah,
Because you
no,
mentioned the
interesting.
US, but I was like, that's the thing.
I know you usually get things where they'll get a particular celebrity voice to play a character, and
Like
they'll
Jonathan
change.
Ross in the book.
Yes, there you go, and they'll change it in different releases and whatnot. So yeah, it's interesting. And Seaworld Man says would like to see how Sid would look enhanced. Well, he's the
He
garbage
would
man,
look
isn't he? In
like
Toy Story 3, is
he would
because
look,
he's wearing the skull shirt? So is the garbage
he would
man's
look
meant to
like
be
the
Sid, isn't he?
fucking what's his name? What's that British dude's name? Oh,
You got to give me more to go on than that, man. You
the
keep
guy
doing
with
this.
the guy with the thing, the fucking his name's Will, I think. He's in We're the Millers, and he looks like
Oh,
Sid
Will
from Toy
Poulter.
Story. That's it. He looks like Sid from Toy Story. Have you not seen the interview where he said he was mistaken as Sid from Toy Story once?
No, I've never seen that.
I think where he was just like some woman was looking from as Sid from Toy Story and went, "I loved you in Toy Story," and he was there just like, I don't really know if I'm supposed to respond to this. Like, it's like it's an animation, right?
Oh, don't give them ideas, because I genuinely believe it's only a matter of time
Live
before
action Toy Story.
we're gonna start. They're gonna start mining the Pixar films for these live action remakes. I genuinely believe it. I've heard rumors about they're doing. I don't know how true this was. I saw an article saying that there were rumors that they were going to cast Harrison Ford to play the old man from Up, and they were planning on doing a live action version of that. So give it time. Lilo and Stitch made over $1 billion. So yeah. I had another Pixar film growing up on VHS, and the success of this particular animated short was really what kickstarted Toy Story to be made in the first place. It was a collection of Pixar shorts.
Yeah, the little toy soldier thingy.
And it was also in a blue VHS cassette like this, and it had a little picture of the tin toy on the front. And it boasted a whole bunch of shorts, pretty much their earliest ones. So it had the lamps with the bouncy ball and everything. There was one where I think it was a unicycle in a bicycle store or something like that, and it was this very sort of like dark, rainy, oppressive atmosphere. No dialogue, but you get the personality of this. I think it was like a unicycle, like something that a clown would ride on or something. And it was their third animated feature, which was Tin Toy, which won the Academy Award in 1989 for Best Animated Short. That was the short that got the attention of Disney. Now, John Lasseter, who was the director of this film, had worked at Disney before. He'd broken away and had founded Pixar. So, he was doing his own thing. Steve Jobs came in and, he purchased Pixar. So it was very much under him. And after the success of this film and it getting the Oscar, Disney were like, John, we'd like to invite you back to Disney. And he was like, no, I'm at Pixar now, with Steve Jobs. I think there's a quote, I'm trying to find it here. He says, I could have gone back to Disney to be a director, or I could have stay at Pixar and, make history, essentially. And he absolutely made the correct decision.
Or he could start, sleeping with school children and,
Oh. Okay.
Isn't that what he did?
He did get cancelled, didn't I don't know if it was that. I think there were, during the whole like Me Too movement, I think it came out that he was very handsy with a lot of his female staff.
I thought he was just touching kids.
I don't think so. I didn't read much into that. Separate the art from the artist. His success with this film and his vision for this film is absolutely incredible. We wouldn't have this film without him. But yeah, I don't know much about him. I didn't read up on much of what happened. So if any of that is true, obviously that's not on, and that's fucking despicable. But we have Toy Story, right? So I'm looking at it more from this and his history with the film. But yeah, Tin Toy, it was that initial spark of let's make a film about toys. Essentially, it's that one. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like this little one-man band toy, and this baby's chasing after him, if I remember rightly. I watched it when I was very, very young. And it's just like the adventures of this little tin toy, and that was the initial spark for what we got with Toy Story. This film almost didn't happen, and you know, we were talking about this with your with the writing of your book. You were talking about that if an editor did come in, they'd have loads of notes. They tell you to remove this, change this, make it like this, and then your vision becomes compromised. And that's what was happening with Toy Story. So I think we talked about this guy. He was the I think he was the chairman of Disney at the time. Katzenberg. Do you remember when we did our Disney retrospective? I think his name sort of cropped up a few times. He almost tried to jeopardize this entire operation because he was a micromanager. He came in, he had notes, blah, blah, blah. So they had their initial few drafts written for the film. And it wasn't the fully formed idea of Toy Story that we know now. So it still hadn't quite evolved into that, but it was this very sort of like happy-go-lucky film about toys and whatnot. And Katzenberger watched the, I don't know if he read the scripts or he watched like a first test draft of it or something. And he was like, it needs to be edgier. The characters need to be a little bit more mean-spirited. It needs to be more adult. And yeah, these are my notes. He was very forceful with that. So Pixar went away. They rewrote the film according to his notes, made it a lot more darker, a little bit more, I guess, like tyrannical. I think Tom Hanks mentioned when he recorded all the lines that the character was just like this really unlikable asshole of a character, just this like a bit of a tyrant-like character. And no one was happy. Pixar wasn't happy with it. The voice cast wasn't happy with how they changed it. And then they looked at the new test footage. Katzenberg watched the new footage back, you know, the film according to his design. And he said, why isn't this film as good as the last time I watched it? And they said, like, because it's not our film anymore. We made this according to your notes, and now all of a sudden you're saying it's not good enough. So
it's like
because of this, it almost got shut down completely.
Well, that's the thing. They do that. Don't know. There's a TV series with the dude from Friends with Matt LeBlanc in, who does and they have it's like these British writers. They do a TV show, then they bring it over to America, and they make loads of fucking changes to the point it's not the same show at all. Mm-hmm. And one of the executives is like, how come it worked in England that it doesn't work over here? And they're like, 'cause it's not the same fucking thing. Mm-hmm. Like, this is completely different. So yeah, it's not unheard of, is it?
So yeah, I mean, it was called the Black Friday incident. Now that's not where they're like selling a bunch of stuff at like discount prices or anything like that. Black Friday, because it was this horrible day where Toy Story almost got shut down completely. Disney lost faith in it. Steve Jobs as well didn't want to fund any more money into it. So it was just a really, really miserable time for everyone. But, you know, Pixar luckily managed to bring in a bunch of writers to touch up the script and redo it, including, I didn't know this, Joss Whedon, who did like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the first Avengers film, a bunch of other TV shows. He did. But, you know, he came into an absolute train wreck and it was like, fix this. Like, you can only do so much. He's another person who's been cancelled now. So, but his
How long before Jackie Chan gets cancelled?
Oh no. Can we at least get a Rush Hour 4 before he gets cancelled?
That'll be like Bill and Ted 3 when it comes out, when it like just ages later.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
so I actually think that Joss Whedon's script doctoring of this film really made it the success that it is. There was a bunch of other people that came in, but Whedon's notes on the script and ideas that he had really, in my opinion, helped it become the success that Toy Story is today. So some of the things that he mentioned, he said that he didn't feel like the script at the time. I think this was probably like the more darker, serious script that he got given. He said he didn't like the script, but he thought, quote, it had a great structure, and he ran with that. So he added the character of Rex, who wasn't in the original version. Rex is one of my favorite characters. I think he's great. All the personalities of the characters, we'll talk about the characters in a minute, but Rex is one of my absolute favorites out of the whole crew. He really wanted to add a Barbie doll in there, which, of course, in Toy Story 2, they eventually did, but they couldn't get the rights from Mattel. during this first film. They probably saw how much of a success this first film was, and then was like, oh yeah, sure, have a whole aisle of Barbies when you get to Al's Toy Barn. So they went for the Bo Peep character, and that's sort of how the character was worked in. But initially it was meant to be a Barbie doll. And he also came up with the idea of Buzz Lightyear being this toy who isn't aware that he's a toy. And I think that specific part of the character and that dynamic that he has with Woody because of that is pivotal to the success of this film and that buddy movie kind of structure. I guess I should talk about the actual structure of it being a buddy movie as well, which I don't think it was originally. This trope, I guess, this story trope of the buddy movie. If you look at a lot of Pixar films, a lot of films in general, Disney films included, but especially Pixar, a lot of them are that sort of odd couple buddy movies, aren't they? If you look at this, for example, you've got Monsters Inc., where you have Mike and Sully, you have what's his name, Marlin and Dory in Finding Nemo. So it's a very, very tried and tested formula, and it works very, very well when you have that right pairing, that right chemistry between the two protagonists. And that is, for me, is where the strength of Toy Story lies. It's in these two focal characters of Woody and Buzz, who I think work off each other phenomenally well, with Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, respectively. And also the look of the characters. I think it's really cool having this sort of like old-aged, cowboy Western doll, pull-string doll, with this new state-of-the-art, all the technology, Space Ranger. So you've got Western and sci-fi. And that pairing of the two characters is just so brilliant to me. What do you think to our two leads of Woody and Buzz?
Yeah, no, I think that goes well, because it's the whole new toys have taken over sort of thing. The whole, because they even said in the second one, as like, our space toys, they're the ones that are coming in. It's that whole like the future is here kind of thing, which goes really well, because it's that whole, like you say, old time to new time. And I think the personalities go well, because Woody in this one is that he's not like controlling, but he's very, well, he is, but because he's very sort of, he's the leader, and he likes being the leader, and having someone come in and threaten that, he's like, no, I'm the leader and I'm the favorite sort of thing. And there's so much character development, because what you see in the second one as well, because Buzz he's a completely different character in the second one to what he is in the first one. Woody as well is a very they're best friends, whereas beforehand they just weren't. So it's a very, do you know what I mean, completely separate thing, where they were essentially, they were rivals, now suddenly they're best friends. And you see the development, which is, I think, really cool for a second movie, because I know we're not talking about a second movie, but a second movie, you see all the characters are basically different now, and it worked very well. It's not a case of a movie where it's like, oh, they're all different, yeah, but we don't really want it. Do you know what I mean? It was it worked. So I think the pairing, was great, and you see, you're able to see growth in the characters as well.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, just the look of the characters, just like the color scheme and everything, the green and purple of Buzz, and like the yellow and red of and blue of Woody, it just looks so striking on screen. I actually go so far as to say that these two characters are up there of the most iconic film characters for me. Genuinely, I would go that far and say that pairing of the characters is amazing. And of course, it's not just the look of the character, how it's animated. I think I read somewhere that it took a week to animate 8 seconds of the lip sync. I think they had an option where they could just do like an automatic lip sync, but they felt that it wouldn't get the personality of the character across, so they meticulously had to tweak every single facial movement that you see. And for a first effort, you always think that, well, I know they had the short films that they made before this, but you think this is a gamble. Nothing has been done to this scale before. A fully 3D animated movie, CGI animated movie. You'd think that there'd be some sort of training wheels on it, or it wouldn't hold up, or it wouldn't look that good. They were so ambitious with this film, with the camera angles and everything like that. The way it's shot, I think they mentioned that they didn't want sort of massive sweeping camera movements like you would get in a traditional hand-drawn animated film. They wanted to keep it very realistic. The camera movements in the film is almost like something that you would be able to do if you were filming a live-action film. And I think that's absolutely genius because, yeah, it does keep it very grounded. You know, like the stuff at Pizza Planet when they're there, and the way that the camera pans in the street, the final chase scene where they're trying to catch up to the moving van. I was watching it, my mind was blown almost 30 years later. And how many animated films have we had since then that have done, you know, continue to do wonderful things with animation? But considering this was a first offering, it's amazing to me that it turned out as well as it did, and just how far they were willing to push the envelope, because they didn't need to go this hard with it. They really didn't. But there's so many amazing set pieces in this film, and I'm watching it and just thinking that computers wouldn't have been in their infancy. I suppose that's not the right, because before this in 1993, you'd had Jurassic Park. You know, computer generated imagery was being made in Disney all the way back in the 80s with Basil the Great Mouse Detective and Tron and things like that. But yeah,
but for them to be used at this level was,
yeah, it's just it'd never been heard of, it never been done. And as I mentioned, no one really had complete faith in it until it landed with audiences, and it landed massively. You know, 4 sequels on, a spin-off. There was apparently a musical as well, which I wasn't even aware of. There was a Toy Story musical.
I saw Toy Story on Ice.
I went to see that. I think that was the first time I went to Disney on Ice, actually.
Yeah. And it was in the Millennium Dome.
Yeah.
Which is the O2.
I went to the NIA, I think, in Birmingham, and then I went the following year, which was Beauty and the Beast. And then I think I went to like a Villains Halloween special. I only ever went the 3 times.
I think I went literally in '99 when it was literally going to be the Millennium. It was like a big thing. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Let's get to a couple more comments here. So JDC says, although Toy Story features a toy Tyrannosaurus Rex named Rex, it's less about dinosaurs and more about the core relationship between Woody, the old cowboy toy, and Buzz Lightyear, the modern action figure. Yeah, and I think that was the right thing to do. I mean, it was cool that they threw a dinosaur toy in there because, you know, growing up, I was obsessed with dinosaurs. There were these cool big lizards that you just want to fight with. So just having a toy in there was really cool.
Isn't that what every autistic kid is obsessed with?
That probably explains a lot. Yeah, I loved Rex. It was great. And actually, I did read somewhere that when they first met with Disney, Pixar had 3 film ideas in mind, if I remember rightly. One was an adaptation of James and the Giant Peach, which is interesting because, of course, that would get made by Henry Selick. It's been a while since I've seen that film, actually. I remember that being quite good. They had one that was, I think it was a dinosaur-based film. I'm just trying to find it on here real quick. And they had like a tiny toy Christmas special. Let me see. James and the Giant Peach.
The spin-offs that Toy Story did.
I've seen a couple of them. Oh, this was, yeah, they had an original idea called Bob the Dinosaur. Now, it would be many, many, many years later we'd get The Good Dinosaur, which is not a good film from my memory. We will get to it eventually.
Shouldn't we call it something like Dobby the Dinosaur to make it like alliteration? Like, it would make more sense.
Ah, Bob the Dinosaur, apparently. Yeah, so they were kicking ideas around for that long back, yeah.
Like Bob the Bunny Rabbit sounds cooler.
Oh no, we've got Hoppers now, haven't we? That's Gopher /
it should be a
Bunny Rabbit movie. Oh, they did that Jackalope animated short, didn't they? Was it the animated short in front of Incredibles, I want to say? Do you remember that one? It's Jackalope sort of hopping around. Brian says, I love Toy Story and Kingdom Hearts 3. I haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3, but I have seen you play it. The animation, the graphics, almost parallel to Toy Story 3, as far as I'm concerned.
It's done very, very well. It was the first Kingdom Hearts game as well to have the like the flowing rooms in the sense of, because each one, like Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, you'd have a room that you'd be in, and then you go to like let's say Agrabah, you're in the city, then to go outside to the desert be another room, then to go out this be another room. Kingdom Hearts 3 did do that, but they were so much bigger. So like Andy's room, and then outside Andy's house was all the one flowing thing. So it was the first to do all that. So again, it was like the first to do a lot of things, Toy Story wise, and it flowed really, really well. Mm-hmm. It was, the thing is, because the whole cast of Toy Story characters, you couldn't fit everyone in, so they had to come up with a reason why not everyone was there.
Mm-hmm. And Bath Time says, "Oh my God, talking's back." Yes, I messed up. I messed up on our Two Towers review. StreamYard set it to suitable for kids, which doesn't allow you to comment on a live stream or comment at all, actually. So that is fixed now, thankfully, and I'll be diligent to make sure that that's not the case for when we talk about Return of the King. It is funny doing a review on Toy Story and saying it's not suitable for kids. That's always fun.
The last one was, apparently.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of which, not suitable for kids, there are a couple of jokes in this film which I completely didn't catch when I was a kid.
Like the hooker.
Wait, what?
The hooker. The hook, like the yeah, you know, like the hook with the legs.
Oh, legs. The legs character, the crane.
Yeah, because it's a hook and it's got women's legs.
I never even put that together.
Yeah, like the hooker character. That's what it is. My favorite though was always the spider one with one eye.
Yeah, that was good. I think I had that as a toy.
I had that as well. That was really cool.
Actually, yeah. I don't know. I don't remember ever having all of the other ones. I mean, you've got like the roller bob, haven't you? That skateboard with like the scuba diver on the front. You've got sort of like the weird insect thing. I never had any of those other ones, but I did have the creepy baby with the spider legs.
That was cool. I like that one.
So one joke that completely went over my head as a kid, which I probably have caught this joke other times I've watched it, but as I say, it hasn't been a while, is where Woody, it's Slinky Dog is sort of cozying up to Woody and saying, "Well, guys, I think we should all listen to Woody." Woody hasn't said, and he takes his Mr. Potato Head takes the mouth off, and he's always a kiss ass. I didn't even. Of course, I wouldn't have got that as a kid, but it's great.
Yeah.
So
that was I remember that. That's every time I've watched it when I'm older. I'm like, yeah, it's a thing.
There was a few more when I was watching it, which I probably should have made a note of as well. There's the bit where Woody has just knocked Buzz out the window, but Andy's come back to the room because he's trying to take a toy to Pizza Planet, and Mr. Potato Head etches a gallows with a noose and points at Woody like, "We're going to hang you." I wouldn't have got that as a kid either. So yeah, there's some pretty edgy jokes in this, and I think that's what makes it so appealing. The best kind of kids films are more like family films. We talk about classic Animaniacs, don't we, where there are so many jokes that you can appreciate as an adult.
So good. And it's the same with like Looney Tunes. That's why they did so well, and they stand the test of time because they are good for both rather than just one. But now we don't really get as much of that.
No, we don't. Let's talk a bit about Woody and Buzz then, the characters. So they always had Tom Hanks in mind. He was always the first choice, and when they were just testing to see if the voices would match the characters, they took some lines from Tom Hanks's character in the film Turner and Hooch, and they did like a little animation test to it. And I think they sent that off to Tom Hanks, and that immediately sold him on the idea, and he was in. And every time I hear his voice, I'm like, that's Woody. Like, it was an absolute perfect choice.
You cannot watch it. Well, I can't watch Tom Hanks' movie without hearing Woody. I just can't. I can't hear his voice. That's why I hate Saving Private Ryan. I can't get through the movie. I just can't.
Just when he's running on the beach at the start, you just want him to like run like Woody and do that like flailing.
I just can't. Forrest Gump is fine because you don't hear Woody. Same with The Green Mile, even though it's shit, you don't hear Woody. It's Saving Private Ryan. I can't do it.
But the one that's interesting is that they didn't immediately land on Tim Allen to play Buzz.
Sounds like it could be George Clooney.
Is he one of the names that were mentioned? No, but there's a lot of actors mentioned. I don't know if I'm going to list them all.
Sound like George Clooney, though, doesn't he? Like he could pass for it. George Clooney could pass for it.
I guess he could, yeah. I think
because I always thought as a kid, I thought that was him. I thought it was the same person.
Mm. So originally, Billy Crystal was approached, and they used lines from the film When Harry Met Sally and put that to an animation test. But he turned the role down, and he has sort of gone back and kicked himself for this because he believed that the film wouldn't be successful due to its animation. Again, it was this brand new thing, hadn't been done, didn't think it was the juice was worth the squeeze. Now, of course, later on, probably from the success of Pixar at that point, he would eventually go on to brilliantly play Mike Wazowski in Monsters, Inc. And he has later said that he believes that he wouldn't have been right for Buzz. And I totally agree with him on there. Like, Billy Crystal has a very distinctive personality and distinctive voice that I don't think would have matched the personality for Buzz at all. So they absolutely went with the right actor. in Tim Allen. A few other names they were considering: Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Jim Carrey, Dan Aykroyd, Matthew Broderick, Kurt Russell, and John Travolta.
He could have played Woody, I think, better. I think he would have had the more fucking kind of voice. He could have played Kermit the Frog.
But again, I don't know if that would have worked. I think it's just because I think they captured lightning in a bottle genuinely with all of the cast.
I think Jim Carrey would have been better as Woody than Buzz.
Let's talk about side characters then. So, I mean, the main ones to talk about, and sadly, a lot of these actors aren't with us anymore. Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head, Jim Varney as Slinky Dog, and oh god, who was the one who played Lenny? Joe Ranft. Is John? Oh yeah, no, John Ratzenberger's still there. That's good. He's sort of like Pixar's Lucky Charm, isn't he? He's he does like a little bit part voice in most of the films, I think.
I always liked the strong man. I thought he was fun.
Oh, Rocky. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was cool. Because he was in the game with the second one, wasn't he? Where you had to take his little weights. I thought he was cool.
We've got Bath Time, who says Rex is the best. He was always one of my favorites. I loved Ham as well. Ham was great.
Mr. Taylor had the cool personality.
They were all so good, and all of their personalities were so incredibly defined, and the voice actors as well.
But the aliens, they were fun. The aliens with the the claw, that was fun.
The claw is our master. Yes,
and then they're just like no, and they start pulling Woody down, and then the whole because when he pulls him up, and they got the aliens hung to him. And then he's like, "Whoa, what does he say? What's the line? But like multiple prizes or whatever,
double prizes."
That's it, yeah. And then there's they're all just holding on to him. That's cool. I like that.
I love how they just skip over Sid just putting coin after coin after coin in one of those claw machines, because the fact that he just went straight to that machine and won twice has never been heard of in the history of crane machines.
That is true.
So did you have a favorite? Rocky's your favorite then out of all of them?
No, I like Miss Potato Head.
Yeah. Had one of those as a kid as well. Had a Mr. Potato Head, which was fun.
Yeah, I liked Mr. Potato Head. I like Slinky as well. But I would say Mr. Potato Head is he was the one. I did because he was the kind of sarcastic one as well. I think Slinky was more like the lapdog, but he was also he obviously had more of a personality than an actual lapdog, but he was more of like Woody's side kind of a little bit. And then when Buzz came along, like when you have the montage, when like he's tickling his chin, it becomes sort of like because he's the dog, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. There's so many great moments. There really, really is. One scene that I loved so much more watching this again, and thought it was just absolutely genius. And I was watching a bit of the behind the scenes, and they storyboarded everything. Pretty much every shot was storyboarded, planned ahead of time. And I always think that can help make a tighter film. It's the toy soldiers scene where he sends them downstairs to check out the presents, and it's this proper military operation. It's like, let's move. It's inspired. It's so great.
Where he gets stood on, and he's like, man down.
A good soldier never leaves a man behind. Yeah. I was going to level a criticism to, and I will do when we get to it. A lot of criticisms actually to Toy Story 4. One of them was going to be that I didn't like how the toys could directly react and interact with humans, but that does happen twice in this movie, which I completely forgot about. I mean, there's the pivotal one at the end where Woody comes alive and speaks directly to Sid. He's initially talking to him through his voice box, but then he actually comes alive. It's like, so play nice.
It's done in such a creepy way, isn't it? It's great.
Like the years of therapy that Sid is going to have after that moment, totally justified, by the way. But then there's also the moment which I forgot about where Sid's sister Hannah is playing with Buzz, and she's got him dressed as Mrs. Nesbit for a tea party, and then Woody puts on the voice of Hannah's mom, and Hannah, oh Hannah, and she leaves the room. So that does happen in Toy Story 1, which I forgot about. So I guess I can take that criticism away from Toy Story 4.
True. You don't think about. I think the thing about the fourth one is they do it in just such a way that's so pivotal. Like it's just so plot heavy. That's so. I don't know. I think it's just done in a different way. Like it is more, yeah. I mean, it's just done in more. It just feels like I think it feels like one of the shorts where it's just sort of like, oh, we're going to do this to have this moment, and it feels like that's just a short happening, because that whole scene with the RV does feel like just a random short, that then continues on to a movie.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's just the feeling of it, but yeah.
Carl said, well, you mentioned this earlier, Dale. I didn't clock this at all. Carl says, did you notice the joke for the adults with one of the deformed tots, the hook with 2 legs? Yeah. Hooker. Yeah, no. Yeah.
The hooker. Yeah, that was...
Because he just always calls her legs in the film. I didn't even think anything of it, but yeah, wow.
Yeah, the hooker with the legs.
That's why we have that, the PG rating.
I think, you know, I think would have been cool when Hannah's like, I think Sid should have had a little baby sister as well, and Hannah's playing dolls, but also with the little baby, and then obviously where Buzz is dressed up as woman, and then the arm is pulled off, and then the doll starts chewing it, and it's kind of like a weird, like, you know, I'm going to dress you up as a woman and eat you. I think that would have been so dark. That would have been great. But he does lose his arm anyway.
There were some darker scenes that got removed very, very late in the editing process of this film. I think when they were doing like checking through it before it was about to ship off, they made some cuts to it. One was going to be that Woody and Buzz are tortured quite horribly by Sid right before the scene where he's interrogating Woody with the magnifying glass. So, but they said by that point, you've really become attached to these 2 characters of Woody and Buzz, and you really don't want to see this horrible scene of them getting tortured. I don't know what that would have involved, by the way, but yeah, maybe sort of limit it somewhat.
Like a hammer slamming down against that hammer.
Yeah, or something. I don't know. One thing I was looking out for, though, and when Sid uses the magnifying glass on Woody and he sort of burns a hole in the plastic, Woody says, like, I really hope this isn't permanent. That is all the way through the rest of the movie, until the final scene where they get back to to Andy's house and it's Christmas time and it's gone. Because I was thinking, I swear he doesn't have that in Toy Story 2, 3, and 4. So I guess Andy got it fixed somehow. Maybe he took it to the old guy from Toy Story 2 and patched
the old
him
guy.
up.
What's his name? Fucking, he has a name as well, doesn't he?
I don't remember it in the.
No, because he's the same old man from the chess game.
Yeah,
and I can't remember. He's got a name, Gerald or something. Jerry.
You can't rush art.
Yeah, him, Jerry.
I love the music in that. I know we're jumping ahead to Toy Story 2, but that little montage where he's that really satisfying moment where he dips the paintbrush and like paints up the shoe and gets rid of Andy's name. It's just the little details. Bath Time says, like the T-1000 in T2, the spiritual successor to Toy Story. Is that about... What was that in response to? Sorry, like the T-1000 in T2, the spiritual successor to Toy Story. Explain. I feel like I've missed the context for that. JDC says, at the end of Toy Story, Rex hopes that Andy would get another dinosaur like a leaf eater. So in Toy Story 3, yeah, Bonnie would be one who'd own this leaf-eating dinosaur toy. Trixie the Triceratops. Yeah. There's that weird joke in Toy Story 3, isn't there, with Trixie, where she's chatting to like another dinosaur or something in a chat room, and she like hastily like crosses it off.
Yeah, it's a really...
Bath Time, when the T-1000 rings up John Connor and pretends to be his mom. Oh, with the voice of Hannah.
You know, it's the one movie I haven't seen.
Oh God, yeah. Chat. Right. This, I feel like this needs to be the next film that I show them. Have you seen Terminator 1? You haven't seen any of the Terminator films?
I haven't, no.
This is huge. Okay, so we've got to do a screening of T1 and T2. We can stop there. But yeah, this is I can't believe that. I'm not gonna tolerate that, Dale, for the rest of we're just gonna stop this retrospective now after this review tonight, and we're gonna switch it to a Terminator one. Carl says Toy Story was a perfect modern day trilogy. Toy Story 4 doesn't exist. Yeah, that's the way that my headcanon works. And
it doesn't. 4 was just such a, even if they didn't do a 5, it's pointless. With doing a 5, it's even more pointless, because it's like, okay, so we had an ending. And then you've had a weird Woody ending with him disappearing. And now you're bringing him back. It's like, why are we doing this? It was so unnecessary. But even without 5, it's unnecessary. The story ended. It's like Tarantino said, didn't he? But the story ended. I have no desire to see it. It did. It completely... I mean, I watched it because it's Toy Story, and I thought, another toy. I mean, I knew it was like, why are they doing another one? I thought, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to be happy about it, but I'm going to watch it.
Mm.
And the annoying thing about 4 was it was fine. Like, it shouldn't have ever happened, but it was fine in the sense of, it wasn't an awful movie. There were good aspects to it, which I think it'll be an interesting one to review, because there were good aspects to it, like Gabby or whatever she was fucking called. Like, there was some cool stuff,
And
and
the
there was
Bensons, yeah.
yeah, and again, it was that creepy kind of, which which I think was handled well, but it was just so unnecessary. Like, if we didn't have this movie, the world would have turned out exactly the same and probably better off. But
It felt like, this is a bad example because you haven't seen these films, but if anyone has, then follow me with this. Toy Story 4 feels like Quantum of Solace. It's this completely pointless DLC of the story that's just grafted onto the end.
It was kind of like, I've not seen any of the Toy Story shorts. I think I've seen like one or two. I've seen Bo Peep's little one.
There was a Halloween one I watched. Something of Terror, I think it was
the
called.
Halloween one, but 4 felt like a short, like a Woody short. Like, it was Woody's thing. It wasn't Toy Story. It wasn't Buzz. It wasn't this. It wasn't. It felt like a short that just for some reason was an hour and a half. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this a Toy Story 4 review right now, but they really play fast and loose with the rules of this franchise, really, with what makes a toy. And also, I just kind of hate what they do to Buzz's character. They just make him an absolute idiot and buffoon. They sort of hit the factory reset button on him to take him back to how he was sort of in Toy Story 1, and all that growth that we've had. Yeah, they quite literally hit the reset button. Yeah, you're right. They do. Yeah, so we've talked about the whole host of characters and everything. Let's talk about the music then. So we've got Randy Newman, really great score to this one, and just that sort of warm, homely sound that I get when I come back to the Toy Story films. And they use Randy Newman quite a lot in a lot of Pixar films, so all the early Pixar films at least have that same quality to them. There's even aspects of the soundtrack that as we go through, we'll hear sort of repetitions of certain little motifs and stuff. So the music does have this very, saying samey almost does an injustice to the score and the work of Randy Newman, but it has this uniform feel to it, I guess, is the most effective way to say it.
Strange Things, that's my favorite.
It's a great tune. That's such a good song. Growing up, I had a cassette tape of I feel like it just had You Got a Friend in Me and Strange Things. I don't think it had I Will Go Sailing No More. I don't think it had that one on there. But I remember having like this little mini cassette tape, and I would just listen to Strange Things all the time. Yeah. The opening riff to it and whatever instruments it's played on, it's this unique sound that just as soon as I start hearing those first few bars, I'm immediately transported to all of those old school feelings that I had with Toy Story and all the joy that it brings. It's a great montage as well. It's a great scene. This was something that Disney insisted on. So at this point, mid-90s, we're in the Disney Renaissance at this point. The Broadway musical style filmmaking was mad successful for Disney. And, we've said it's our favorite era of Disney. We love those 90s ones. And they said to Pixar that we want Toy Story to be a musical. And Pixar were like, this isn't going to work. It's not that style of movie. We don't want it to be. But Disney insisted, so they found a compromise where they said, right, we'll get Randy Newman to write some songs. They won't be songs actually sung by the characters in film. It will be like non-diegetic music that's played. And of course, then you get the 3 songs of the film. It wouldn't be until the sequel, Toy Story 2, where you actually have a proper musical number with the characters singing, where you have Wheezy singing You've Got a Friend in Me at the end of the film with all the toys. So I think this was absolutely the right decision. I think if this had been like a full-on musical, I think that I think it would have all just fallen apart, because it's not that kind of movie, is it? It's not those kind of characters. It's a buddy movie. It's not really, you can't get a varied Broadway musical style repertoire of songs for that kind of story structure,
When did the bloopers stop?
Oh, that's a good point. They were in Monsters, Inc. They weren't really bloopers in Toy Story 3, were they? That was like little additional scenes in the credits to see what the characters were doing. I think it finished with Monsters, Inc.
Did they do them all the way up to that in every movie up until that?
Well, we didn't get outtakes in this one. We do in Bug's Life.
Yeah,
We
but
do
like they
in
sort of
Toy
started to do it, is what
we
I'm
do
talking
in
about.
Toy Story 2. This is going to be fun because if you're watching these on Disney Plus, they've removed one of the outtakes at the end of Toy Story 2. You know where Stinky Pete is like a casting couch, like a creepy, like Harvey Weinstein
Yeah, yeah,
type character with the two Barbie dolls, and he's like,
yeah.
"Can I say that you two look absolutely identical?" And he's like stroking her, like, "I'm sure I can get you a part in Toy Story 3." That's been cut now, as far as I'm aware.
That's
So physical media, you get the complete uncut creepy edition. So.
that's a shame.
But yeah, I think the outtakes stopped in Monsters Inc. I'm pretty sure.
Only because you mentioned the Wheezy thing, I remember it going into like the outtakes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I thought that was cool because yeah, that was a really good little addition, and they had him in Bugs Life, and Bugs Life was great with it. Do you remember the Bugs Life, the Toy Story 2 one where they've got Bugs Life and then Buzz pushes the fucking thing away and they
Yeah,
fly up?
yeah. He
Was,
karate chops the shit out of Flick. Yeah.
that was a good crossover.
We've got a few more comments. Let me just get to these. Just on the subject of Terminator, Cole says, Dale, you need capital letters. Look at that. Need to see T2. He does. They're up there. We're going to watch them. I'm going to make him watch them. Don't worry.
They're good. I heard they're okay.
The Bad Time says, since Skynet is already starting, you need the cultural references. Yeah, that's true. AI. Yeah, you're right. We've got Axel Sanchez. Axel Sanchez, have you commented before? I think this might be a first-time commenter. Says Toy Story was debuted in Disney on Ice in 1996. No. Was I 3? I would have been older than that, surely, when I went to see Disney on Ice. If not, that's insane. I hope.
99. Yeah, it was 99 that I went, so it was after Toy Story 2.
Yeah, that's probably when it was first debuted, and I guess they just brought it back periodically, maybe. Carl says the song "When Somebody Loved Me" destroyed me first time I heard it in Toy Story 2. We'll talk about that in I was going to say in T2, in Toy Story 2, in TS2. We'll talk about that.
By Randy Newman?
Yes, yeah, it's a beautiful song. It's a stunning song. My God. Disney, let's constantly rewrite history. That's it. If it's set in stone, let it be. We can learn from it. It's fine. And the thing is, as well, that wasn't even an outtake. That was just holding a mirror up to the movie industry at that point. So, JDC says the Pixar outtake trend actually started in A Bug's Life, the studio's next film. Yeah, that's true. It did.
Yep. But I just don't remember how long it lasted. Because when was Monsters Inc? Was that number 6? Number 5?
No. Okay, so we've got Bug's Life next, then it's Toy Story 2, and then it's Monsters Inc. after that. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is it? I thought it was like another. Okay, yeah.
Then Finding Nemo, there was no outtakes in that. Then Incredibles, there was no outtakes in that. And then I don't think they were in any of the subsequent ones.
I thought they did it more than that, to be fair.
So yeah, what do you think to the music in this then? The Randy Newman score and the songs that are on offer?
Yeah. Strange Things is my favorite. I always thought, to be fair, they were all. I never realized they were all original songs for the movie when I was younger. I thought they were just songs that were placed in, because the thing is, when you get music like that, and I think music that's another level, it's kind of like Thingy in the second one. They all sound like, these are just like generic hits already that have been thrown in rather than written for it, because it's not often you get a whole score of songs, actual songs as well, which are like, this sounds like, a hit from someone, so does this. You get a few that you're like, okay, and then I really like this one, this stands out, but they're all very, very similar in terms of quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that struck me as well, and I can't remember if this song was in this version that I had, but did you ever have these sort of big cassette tape book things where it would read the story to you of I think I had one for Aladdin, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I had one for Toy Story, and it was like this little book, and it's like, when you hear this sound, turn the page, and it's a person reading the story and you're reading along with it. I had one for Toy Story. I distinctly remember that, and they were in these huge sort of square cassette cases.
Yeah.
They were nice to have. It's like, you know, it's helping your reading age. It's a story that you've watched a bunch of times that you're aware of, and it's interactive because you're turning the page when you're listening out for that sound. They were fun. They probably don't even still make those now. It's all probably on an iPad, isn't it? They certainly don't make cassette tapes now. I'm not saying that, but yeah. I remember at my old house we had this like big CD player / cassette thing with like big speakers on the side. I mean, you'd have to like get a crane to move this. It was huge, and it was between sort of like the walkway into the dining room, and there was the sofa on the side of it, and I used to sit cross-legged on the floor in front of this thing. And the amount of cassette tapes I had or CDs, and you know, that's where I'd sit and listen to Jewel of the Fates on cassette tape, and I'd rewind it because it was such an amazing song. The Harry Potter soundtracks, these interactive stories. Oh, good times, man.
Yeah.
Good times, really good times. What else did I want to mention with this film? The Star Wars reference. We at least get a Star Wars reference in the first 3 Toy Story films.
In every single one, because the Death Star, and so because it's episode 4, 5, and 6, isn't it?
Yeah. Very, very overt references in the first 2, and then there's one. If you know, when you get to Toy Story 3.
Yeah, I think because they get like, for instance, this one specifically is. I mean, to be fair, I would say the second one is they get more, not obscure because everyone knows what the reference would be in the second one, but they get more obscure in the sense of this first one directly says he is building this, like it's directly Star Wars. The second one is a line from it, and the third one is, so they get, do you know what I mean, more and more, I wouldn't say ambiguous, but you get what I mean, more and more sort of subtle. If you want.
I think the second one's the most obvious one because we're actually we're directly quoting from it.
Yeah, because it's that quote. But when I say more subtle in the sense of this specifically mentions something, whereas the next one's a quote, then it's just a movement. That's what I mean. But yeah, you get this one. I think it's great because it is just thrown in there, and then like you said, the next one is just boom in your face. But the third one is, like you say, if you know, it's the kind of which I remember seeing and thinking like, did they do, is that the thing? And I was like, I feel, yeah, it is, because it's and I was like, they've kept it up, which is good because it's also, I wouldn't say rare, but to have a movie with that much gap to then the next one, it's very likely sometimes you'd be like, oh, they didn't do the fucking reference. It's similar to like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. They all have similarities, and there's all like, for instance, what's it called? Shaun of the Dead, where he jumps over the fences. Then Hot Fuzz, he jumps over the fences. In The World's End, I can't remember how it's done, but it's something really small, and it's kind of like you did it, but it's different. It's like the cornetos are mentioned and they say the exact same line, but the third one you just see a cornetto rapper and you're like, yeah, but it's not the same though, is it?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of and you'd expect that from this, but they do him all the same sort of thing,
I was going to ask if you have a favorite moment or scene from this film, and there's a lot of them, but if you have one in particular that stays with you.
When Buzz falls to the floor and he's only got one arm. And he's just looking kind of defeated. I like that.
That's a beautiful song as well that plays during that scene.
It's great. That's my favorite. I do you know what? No, because the reason I like all that thing is because when he sees the advert and he's like realizes he's a toy. I love that whole sort of section because it kind of he kind of goes into depression mode. He's like, oh shit. It's such a turn. I think it's great, and it works so well. And obviously he just falls and his arm's gone. You're like, oh dear.
One thing I noticed about this, and I don't want to go like too deep down this rabbit hole because it's never like full on addressed, but it is in the background, is the fact of it almost feels like absent fathers a little bit in some ways, because we have this single parent household with Andy. And then I was looking out for it, and I actually didn't realize this was Sid's father until this viewing in preparation for this. You never see Sid's dad directly. You hear his mom, but there's the moment, it's in that scene where Buzz sees the toy commercial for Buzz Lightyear, and we get our first reference to Al's Toy Barn as well, which will come into it in the sequel. The person sleeping in the chair, I'm assuming is Sid's dad. I always thought that was the mom watching it, because I think probably because like the father doesn't have like a presence in the movie. I think as a kid, I just always assumed that was the mom sort of sleeping in the chair. I think that's Sid's dad. So I think it's probably implied that he works nights, like late night shifts. He's probably not around, maybe. But I always thought it's an interesting thing. And I think someone has gone down like a theory of this, saying that not that Andy sees Woody as like a father figure, but it's it's like an outlet for him to connect with and to confide in almost, because his father's sort of like not in the picture. And as I say, it's never addressed in the films. It's all very much in the background. But yeah, I don't know. I think it adds an extra element, I think, to Woody's dynamic, perhaps with Andy.
I always thought Sid's dad used to like beat him and like used to like
maybe.
Yeah, I thought like his parents split up, and then like he used to abuse his kids, and his sister was like touched by her father.
Oh God, you just
I thought it was
why?
Why?
I
think that goes for a good backstory.
Disturbed. You're a very disturbed man.
He's a disturbed child. That's the point, isn't it? He's disturbed and he's violent, and that is what would happen if he had a violent father. So it makes sense. And why else would he have a hooker toy? Why else would he make a hooker?
True, yeah,
so it all makes fucking sense.
I wonder if the pizzas taste good at Pizza Planet. I don't know.
Do you know actually one thing I don't fully agree with? So, I don't know how far. When they move at the end, how far do they move?
It's a few blocks away, isn't it? It's not. We never see the rest of the journey, though, do we? Once they land in the car, they're still journeying, so I don't think we know.
So there's that whole thing of how the guy at the bin man is Sid, but if they've moved house, like what if they've moved that far away? Why is Sid that far?
Yeah, it'd be a couple of streets away, wouldn't it? If he's.
That's what I mean. It just seems a bit. I get it, but it also just seems very. I was like, but they moved. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know.
It's just like all of a sudden. It's really the toys get Vietnam flashbacks. Like, oh my God, Sid's here again. We can't escape him.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised that they haven't. I guess I'll give them credit for this. They haven't repeated villains in all of the Toy Story films. Touch wood. There's never a moment where like, Sid has returned, or.
It didn't even have Zurg in 3.
No, I know, that was a surprise.
Well, they did in the after the.
You see him in the daycare center, don't you?
Yeah, he does show up there, but they don't. Yeah, they don't even have Zurg in 3.
I've got a couple of other comments. Bath Time says, are they still making good stuff, Pixar? I haven't seen anything since like Toy Story 4.
No.
Not as much. I mean, occasionally you'll get like Inside Out 2, which I think. I can't remember. My memory is quite hazy with it. Obviously, we'll be rewatching it. But...
So yeah, they've done okay. They've done stuff.
It's just that the makeup of Disney's just changed so much now as a company, hasn't it? And I think that's probably just bled into Pixar as well. There was that time where they were just making the push to just keep bringing everything out on streaming, which I think did anger a lot of the Pixar workers at the time. Obviously, when we get to those films, I'll have more information. I'll do some reading on it. But you had a string of movies that came out on streaming on Disney Plus. You had Soul, and then Turning Red was straight to streaming. Luca, straight to streaming. So yeah, I think that did kind of it took away from like the theatrical quality of these films in a lot of ways, and especially if they're working really, really hard at Pixar to get these films made, and then it's just they're surprised when all of a sudden they don't get money, and it's you didn't put them out in cinemas. So Onward lost a lot of money as well. That was theatrical, but that was released literally when a lockdown hit, which seems actually doesn't seem that long ago now, but I have to keep reminding myself that was about 6 years ago now, which is insane to think about. And then Kobe Wiggle says Toy Story is a classic. We probably will do a Pixar ranking. I think that'd be another good ranking to do once we've done all of these. But genuinely, I believe that this is probably going to be my favorite. Just spoiler alert for like September or October.
2 is the greatest.
2 had a great tie-in video game for it. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. This one had a PC game that I played all the time on like Windows 95 at my uncle and auntie's house.
It was a 2D one, wasn't it?
It was a point and click thing, yeah. And...
Well, I don't know. I played a different one. There was one I played. It wasn't point and click. It was like a side scroller. And
I didn't play that.
Yeah, there was. I played it after I played Toy Story 2, and I just remember thinking this is nowhere near as good. but it was like a side scroller for some of the levels. Then you had like it was, I can't remember how it was, but I feel like it was like a map and you could choose different. I can't remember, but I remember I got to the Buzz Lightyear boss fight and I could never beat him. I remember that there was like a boss fight thing. So yeah,
the one that I'm trying to remember a few levels from it now. I think there was one where you have to. It's almost like a game of mousetrap. You have to make sure that all the toys are in the right alignment to send Buzz out the window. So you'll click on the ball and you can either move it left or right. And if you move it right, they'll be like, right, that will set this whole series of events in motion. And it'll be like, oh, the ball didn't move where we need it to. So when you retry it, you go, oh, well, I need to move the ball to the other side now. So that, and then you chain reaction it all and it sends Buzz out the window. That was a really fun level. There was one where it was almost like a game of Bejeweled with the aliens, I think, and you had to connect like 3 of the same color or something like that. And then I remember one that was during the moving scene with the dog chasing you, and it was like top down bird's eye view, and it was almost like Pac-Man, I suppose. Like you had to get away from Scud as it's chasing you, and you had to collect things. I don't know, my memory is very hazy on it now, but it was on the old Windows 95 PC, which is an absolute blast from the past. And I played there was a Lion King one that I remember playing at the same time as well, which was the same kind of point and click thing. Again, good times. And this film continues to be, when I watched it again, filled with good times for me. My favorite scene, and I'm not even ashamed to admit this, I got misty-eyed watching it again because it's an incredible payoff to this aspect of the story. But when the music kicks in, it's the final bit where they blast upon the rocket and they start flying. They dip under like the wire, and the music soars. There's a Buzz, you're flying. This isn't flying. This is falling with style.
yeah.
And he just yells to infinity and beyond. And I'm getting emotional talking about it now, but that just sent me right back. It's an incredible scene.
That's
Love it.
the ultimate attack in Kingdom Hearts when you use them as their little. They team up with you, and then they go on the rocket and they hit the Heartless like that. And they go, it's really cool.
It's just that scene sums up Toy Story for me. Just that feeling that like, yeah, we can do anything. We can take on the world to infinity and beyond. It's great. Kirby says, what do you want to see from the new Toy Story movie?
I want to see them say, we have thought about it and we don't think we should release it.
Yeah, just cancel it.
Yeah.
I want it to be a good movie. I do, but I think already I'm sort of mentally checked out from Toy Story because, similar to just echoing what Quentin Tarantino said, I saw the ending of this story and it was a wonderful ending. And also it was a wonderful bookend to the franchise, not just because of, like saying goodbye to Andy, but literally the beginning shot of Toy Story 1 and the ending shot of Toy Story 3 are pretty much mirror images of each other. You have what the background of this is. You have the clouds in the sky wallpaper, which then pans down to the action. And how does Toy Story 3 end? We pan up from the toys into the cloudy sky.
I don't think there's. I mean, I think it'll be better than 4. I do. I do think it'll be marginally better than 4. The thing is, every time like the concept is cool, but there's nothing I want to see from it in the sense of like, yeah, like you said, we saw the end. There's no like, oh, but I want to see them do this with Bonnie. I'm like, I really don't give a shit about them with Bonnie. It's like that was a story that we didn't need to see and didn't need to be told. It's cool. It's like the whole like, when in 4, like when he goes to daycare with Bonnie, it's like, okay, yeah, no, he would do that. It was like, but I don't need to see it. Like we just understand that that's what he would do. It's kind of like, one day fucking I don't know what's a random fucking movie that Dumb and Dumber. One day both of those characters will die. Great. I'm not going to watch a Dumb and Dumber 3 to see them die. I don't care. Like, do you know what I mean? It's that basic. What would happen in something? There's just nothing that you need to see from it. I think the concept's cool. I do think it'd be marginally better. But it's not like, oh, I want to see Jesse take control. No, I don't. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I want to see, but I think we've seen everything we can see the characters do. I don't really think there's any direction for them to go. That's the issue with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, what do I want to see from Toy Story, from the new Toy Story film? I do think that this one has an edge on Toy Story 4 due to the premise. I think it is actually something interesting that we are seeing in our day to day now. You know, kids moving more to technology and abandoning toys and everything. It's video games, it's iPad, it's, you know, TikTok kind of things. It's that instant gratification iPad kind of stuff.
Do you know what's
That
going to happen? I've just thought, right? You know how, because obviously it's about technology, there's going to be something weird where the reason they're able to get Woody back is because, you know how, like, obviously they talk on the computer, they're able to find a fucking phone and they're able to talk to him. They're going to do something stupid like that, and you're like, oh, why? It's going to be like, oh, we're able to get into contact with Woody. Oh my god, look, his GPS is on. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. It's going to be, it's just
well, we've seen that in the trailer, and that's the thing. Like, my biggest fear with this is that, well, I mean, I don't really like Toy Story 4 anyway, so if it can ignore that, happy days. But if it just makes Toy Story 4 completely pointless, you know, the ending of that, I guess, spoiler alert for Toy Story 4 was that Woody says goodbye to the rest of the toys. He's going to settle down with Bo Peep and they go their separate ways. And it was an emotional ending, but again, like, all the tears were cried at the end of Toy Story 3. And you know, I might have mustered like a single tear or something at the end of Toy Story 4 when he said his final goodbyes, but he's just back with them in the teaser, because of course you have to have all of the toys. Separating them is stupid if you know you're going to make another one. So it's just going to make Toy Story 4 all the more pointless. Toy Story 4 was just basically like a Girl Boss movie, wasn't it? It was Bo Peep's movie, really. And I didn't feel like the overall story was a story worth telling.
Like, obviously it was done as a woke kind of, let's make a strong female, even though we had a strong female and Jessie, like, she wasn't.
There's rumors that it's good. This is going to be Jessie's movie, though. I've seen that. So
she was already a strong female character. Like, she was already did what she did. She didn't need to be the lead anyway. Point is, it was done for that, and also it was like, oh yeah, but this way, because Free didn't have Bo Peep, let's have her. Let's at least have a kind of, because I guarantee they try to dress it up and say, let's give her closure. I'm like, we didn't need to. The whole point was loss, and it was like, oh, she's gone. It's like, yes, that is what happens, and that's it. We don't need, not everything needs fucking closure. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, I don't know. Your dog could get shot in the morning and you'll never say goodbye. Things happen, move on.
You know? And the thing is, like, just the characterization of Bo Peep was just so unlike Bo Peep from the first two Toy Story films. It was a completely different character. I would have preferred it if it was a different character, in all honesty, just to preserve that, as you said, that aspect of loss. That was one of the moments. There were so many moments in Toy Story 3, and we'll talk about them all when we eventually get to that film to talk about. I was an emotional wreck during pretty much 100% of that film all the way through, down to the opening scene, the opening musical number. But that moment where Woody's voice starts cracking, where he's talking about all the toys that they've lost over the years, and he starts listing them all off, and Rex interjects and says, even Bo Peep, and it's like Bo Peep is the most prominent of those characters that they've lost. And you feel it the same as Woody, and it was perfect. It was perfect.
Another thing that worked with that is, it's not like the voice actress had died, so it's not like they went, out of respect, we won't put her in. They intentionally put the loss in there, which was really good. It's like, we get to see that loss. It wasn't like, oh, she died, there's a reason for it. It was literally because of loss, and that was it. And that's another thing that made it stronger. But they just derailed it with the whole fucking
I know. I guess sort of like my final thoughts on Toy Story, and I mean, we could talk quite easily on this film for probably another hour and how much it means to us and everything. And I have this same aspect with so many of the great animated films, you know, mostly like the Disney ones or whatever. Characters that just leap off the screen, leap off the page, or, you know, out of a computer in this instance, and just become so iconic and prominent and important to you. And this is sort of highlighted with Andy's goodbye speech at the end of Toy Story 3, where he mentions the importance of Buzz, and this, you know, when it gets to Woody at the very end. I was always Team Woody, 100%. Woody was always my favorite one. So when he just says that, you know, he's always there for you and everything like that. And I feel like that moment at the end of Toy Story 3 pretty much epitomizes why these films, this one that started it all specifically, are so great, because the importance and what these two characters mean to us, and just how well they were portrayed, how iconic they are, and just how they have become so well known and just perfectly idealized in this film, that we will carry these characters around with us for the rest of our lives. These are probably arguably two of the most important characters in our upbringing, in our formative years growing up. At least they are to me. If I'm looking at film characters that I think about from older films that I used to watch, Woody and Buzz, because I had the toys and I was the same age as Andy, it's almost like they were always with me as well, in a really weird way of putting it. But yeah, so important to me. And I think it's important to have films and characters like that. And that's why I love talking about films and sharing my opinions on them, because I think storytelling and films like this are so important to someone's upbringing. I really genuinely believe that.
Imagine they make another one, Tech Story. Imagine that, Tech Story. Weird.
Well, we've got Toy Story 5 coming out. When is it? Is it June, July, or something like that? Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, June 19th it comes out. So there we
Do you
go.
reckon July was made because, like, you know, it was when, like, Jesus lied and they went, Jew lie. Like, I don't know.
I think it's named after Julius Caesar, to be honest.
Well,
so
whoever put June and July next to each other was a bastard, because I never remember which is which. Like, you know, when Toy Story comes out in June, it's one of them, June or July. It's one of them. That's all I know. I remember my brother's birthday is one of them. When it gets to the time, I remember which one, because I'm like, okay, it's one of them. I just forget which one every time.
So, final thoughts on Toy Story.
Good.
There we go. It's good.
No, it's yeah. I think it was. When did the second one come out?
98, wasn't it? I think. Was it
99?
99?
Yeah, 99, I think it was.
Oh no, 99. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And but before that, I mean, obviously I was only like 4, but like before that, I watched it quite a few times, and then it was only then by the second one I was like, oh, this is great, and nothing beat Toy Story 2. Like, animation wise, it's still very, very hard to beat Toy Story 2. But before that, as I say, this was just such a big thing. Yeah, it just did so many things. It was just great.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to next week's as well, because it's probably been even longer since I've seen next one.
It's the one movie we never got a sequel to, which in a lot of ways, just don't do it. Just don't do it. But I do wonder why.
Yeah, you think that probably more so out of most of them, there's the more grounds of creativity, and
is never spoken about, which I don't get, because it's so good.
Yeah, I guess it still did very, very well. It pretty much broke even, very similar to Toy Story. So, yeah, next week we're talking about A Bug's Life. So I will say next week we're going to change the day. We just decided to do it on Tuesday today because today is the actual 40th anniversary of Pixar. So, you know, it's perfect to kickstart everything off. We're going to go back to our old scheduling of Wednesdays at 9 p.m, I believe we said. Is that correct?
Yes, but I've just remembered a fucking joke that would not land today. People would hate it in Bug's Life, with the whole, what was it? The whole
the ladybug thing. With
it was like, I'm not a good. That would be great.
Cripes, she's a guy.
Yeah, that's such a. And yeah, today people would scream about it.
Yeah, they would.
It's going to get put in cinemas again, and they would just take that joke out. That's what happened.
If they haven't taken it out already, who knows? We'll see if you're watching it on Disney Plus. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight and commented along and sharing your thoughts on Toy Story. If you are discovering this after the fact, please let us know some of your stories on Toy Story. I think this is one that probably is really important to people, and a lot of people our age group, as we mentioned, have grew up with. So please do share your earliest memories of Toy Story and why it means so much to you. And do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. We are now locked in with these Pixar films, so we're going to be bringing you a Pixar review every single week. This is going to be for the foreseeable. I'll be getting Bath Time on again at some point to talk all things Tolkien, and in exactly 1 month's time, pretty much, not far off it, I'll be starting another retrospective, which will be all of the best picture winners. Which is
showers to baths.
Say that again, sorry?
I prefer showers to baths.
Yeah. Anyway,
so you said bath time, so I've just that's
okay.
It wasn't just a random.
That was so random. So yeah, I'll be going through all the best picture winners. That is going to be a retrospective that will take literally about 2 years to do in the lead up to the 100th Academy Awards. So yeah, content is coming out, stuff and things and stuff is happening on the channel, and it'd be a great if you're a part of it. So yeah, if you're discovering for this first time, please do hit the subscribe button if you feel so inclined. and we'll keep it going. Kobe says, I want a Cars review. It's coming.
Okay.
Give it a few weeks. We will get there. Oh, yeah, we've got Cars 2 and Cars 3 to get through. Oof. But next week is A Bug's Life. Hope to see you all there.
Trucks.
Oh, they did planes. They did planes, didn't they?
Why didn't
Planes 2, Fire and
That's-
Rescue.
Did they do a 2 as well? Oh, shit.
Yeah. We got a Planes 2 before we got a Bug's Life 2. Anyway, we'll be back with Bug's Life next week, guys. Take care, everyone.